Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
What's up, Doom Nation? Welcome back. You were listening to the Two Doom Men podcast. As always, it's Skaggs and the Captain as your hosts. And we have a special guest today. Skaggs, you want to introduce her?
Yes, sir, Captain. We have a friend of ours, a member of Doom Nation, I guess you could say. Somebody who's been our friend on Instagram for a while now. We've been talking to. So we are joined by Rose. How are you, Rose?
Very good. First time, long time.
Hey, Rose. How are you?
First time on the show.
First time, long time. It's like a radio show here. We've got a caller. Yeah, one of our callers.
I just dated myself there.
That's all right.
No, I think they still say that shit on Z100.
Your viewers are like, what's a radio show?
Yeah. I mean, I used to listen to like Opie and Anthony and whatnot, you know,
oh, wow.
back in the
God,
day.
Yeah.
So I
talk about dating.
I guess, yeah,
No,
exactly. So Rose, thanks for joining us. I mean, it's mostly been me and you. We go back and forth on messages on Instagram, and I've always found you to be a really interesting person on Instagram because you are very knowledgeable on the political sphere, but your account is like a health beauty account. Like the two, and I'm not trying to say that means that you're not smart or something like that. I'm just saying like the two normally don't go together.
It's weird how that happened. Yeah. When I first joined Instagram, it was all about that. It was all about skincare and, those inspirational quotes and stuff. And then what can I say? Trump happened, and then,
and then everyone got interested in politics.
Exactly. It's like there was no time for anything else. I mean, it was just one thing after another. I mean, I guess pretty much around the whole, can we say COVID these days?
Yeah.
The whole COVID thing. Once that started, or like a few months into that, then everything got derailed, and it just became one shit show after another. So now I have two accounts, and one account is for the skin, and the other account is just junk.
Did COVID impact your ability to like do your health? Well, first of all, hang on. Let's back up. What is exactly that you do in terms of like health and skincare and stuff like that? I know you're, and shout out your Instagram name for everybody also.
And it's Aaron Carr Skincare.
Cool.
And that it's products, and yes, that did affect the COVID lockdowns you're talking about. Yeah, that had a huge effect because I used to supply some beauty spas, because I wasn't an Instagram brand previously. I actually was very happy to not have to go the whole social media route. So when I hooked up with the spas, I was like, that's it, I'm set. I just have to, hang out with these spas, and we were happy.
Make your money.
I was happy. And then, COVID hit and spas closed. And so that put an end to that. And so then I had to become an Instagram brand. And so, I had to go with make a whole design and, layout and all that other stuff. And it's a lot more work than you would think it is.
Mm-hmm.
So
believe me, I know that
it was almost like starting from scratch, pretty much.
Yeah,
all over again.
Going into like a space that you're not familiar with, and you're just learning everything from scratch.
Yep.
I mean, it's so funny. We have talked on the show with so many different people, but people who normally do podcasts. And we always say, like, if you had a graph of how many podcasts exist, right around 2020, it just goes through the roof.
Oh yeah.
Because of what was going on. But also, I think in other fields and other places, things happen like that. So were kind of forced into the Instagram space because of COVID in a way. So it's not just podcasts and people fighting back, but
I was one of those people. I really dragged my feet about getting on social media. Facebook, I didn't like that from the beginning. I don't know if I have a feeling you guys were kind of like that, but when you first signed up for Facebook, like it was brand new, did you not want to give them your information? Because you knew they were going to track it.
When we first signed up, when we first signed up for Facebook, dating ourselves, we were like the first people to sign up for Facebook.
Right,
So it was really just like your name and your email. Like, they didn't track you back then. They didn't use it as the weapon that it is today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, before it was just a place to post pictures so that your people from school would be able to see what shoes you bought and stuff.
I always remembered from the first update on, I was like, no, I don't like this. Change it. It should just go back to the regular timeline and your friends post and shit. No advertisements.
I would gladly go back to MySpace. I would.
Yeah. Tom wasn't bothering anybody.
No.
Tom just wanted everybody to have a good time.
Tom saw the writing on the wall. The government approached him and he said, nah, I'll take my money and I'm going to go live in Hawaii.
You think so? I heard that Elon was going to hire him to I don't know, but be the CEO or the manager or something, or Twitter. Or was that just
I saw that. That was Elon was saying he'll pick a new CEO or something like that.
And
which nothing ever came of that.
I heard of Mr. Beast from TikTok wanting to be the CEO.
Yeah, everybody volunteered. Of course.
But
you can't really jump platforms.
I never heard of Tom going into MySpace, but boy, that would be like an Avengers level comeback. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Tom just comes out of nowhere, out of his garage.
Freddie and Jason kind of thing.
Yeah.
I going back to your original question though, there's always that caution, like when you sign up for something. Mm-hmm. But I felt like I definitely had that when I decided to make a TikTok for our podcast. I don't trust that app at all.
Nope.
And the only reason why we decided to do it when we did, because we had the feeling of, well, there's a lot of really dumb shit on there that's like programming people to behave a certain way. So it's worth it to get onto that battlefield to give people another perspective. Or I've heard the idea of don't seed ground you haven't lost yet in terms of culture. So that was kind of why we went on there, and we did really good.
Oh, it was the best social media app we had.
We had 40, 50,000 followers, and then we got banned out of nowhere just because the nature of us kind of what we do. But that is one that I was definitely concerned about. Now I don't use it anymore. I've deleted it since there's no podcast, no point for me.
I think with TikTok, you have to get one of those throwaway phones just to make
a
burner.
But
the Chinese Communist Party doesn't know where you're at. Yeah.
Oh, it's not the Chinese that I'm worried about.
Yeah, me either.
Right
me and you. So that's like I said, me and you are always talking about stuff. You're always sharing good ideas and messages on us. You're one of the few fans, I guess, of the show and of our page that actually interacts with us. Yeah, which I find interesting. So
I was just saying, no, anytime. No, I love your work. I'm a bit of a libertarian myself. I kind of dance back and forth between different views, and it seems to keep coming back to libertarian.
I was just going to ask you, that was going to be my next question. What do you consider your political home, or do you consider yourself politically homeless?
No. I was going to say that. Yeah, homeless is a trend right now. I think for a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot
not
of
just
people
in the political
can't. Yeah. Oh, right. Didn't mean it that way, but because things are changing really fast, and there is no libertarian party. So libertarians are. I mean, yes, there is a libertarian party, but they're not taken seriously for
right.
They don't have a place.
Yeah, we have documented that on this show.
We pretend to have two parties, and libertarian is not one of them. So libertarians are forced to vote Republican, and then you have leftists who are forced to vote Democrat, even though they don't want to. So a lot of people are just really homeless right now.
Yeah, and I see it with, like myself, I made up my own party of, conservative libertarians, you know what I'm saying? I think, that's where the homelessness comes in, out of all of this, in the future, I think the days of Democrat, Republican are numbered, even libertarian for that much. I think there'll be something new somewhere.
Well, libertarianism is an ideology, though.
True.
It's not, the reason why the party itself has such a hard time gaining traction is because a political party is almost antithetical to libertarianism,
to what they do
as an ideology. So we went to the convention.
Yeah.
Rose,
I remember you said 12 of the nicest people you ever met. Yeah.
Nicest people you ever met, but also the largest group of people who come together and don't want to do anything. Every time every time a position was up for, hey, do you want to run for this or do you want to run for that? Nobody wanted to raise their hand to do anything. Yeah, right. Don't tread on me. It's not
they
that
don't want to get involved.
Yeah, they don't want to get involved, right? So that's
it's their biggest downfall. That their marketing, it just they
it's getting better. It's getting better.
They got to get their shit together. They need a name brand hero. I know it goes against what they do, but
it's Larry Sharp. I got to give it to him. He puts in a lot of work. That's you guys, right? He's in.
Yeah, we had him
New York.
On.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you did have him on. That's right. I remember that. Yeah, a big fan of his. I like his ideas. Some of them are kind of, but that you could say that about.
He thinks outside the box. Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
McAfee.
Oh,
Yeah.
James, the one who killed himself?
The one who did not kill himself.
Yeah.
Just like the one who did not Epstein himself.
Yeah.
He
The
ran for
antivirus
president.
software guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He ran for president on the Libertarian Party, on the Libertarian
I didn't
ticket.
even know he ever ran.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an interesting dude.
Yeah, I would have voted for him.
You should so I mean, I guess you can I'd say you're a what they call a little L libertarian. You're where a little L is someone who's a libertarian but doesn't pay attention, doesn't get involved in the actual party or anything like that. Where a big L is someone who does get involved in the party, like myself to some extent. I'd say you should look into like the Mises Caucus of the Libertarian Party, which is like taking over now. The messaging is a lot more on point. The people are a lot more competent. There's a huge mountain to climb up, obviously, but I'm a white pill person myself. I feel like it's worth the fight, of trying to do it. So I'll just encourage you to look into that. We're gonna have a couple episodes coming up with some of those guys. So
but I mean, there's a whole like pour in of Republicans that came into libertarian, so they're kind of
Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, those are all libertarian style guys.
Yeah.
But even
go ahead.
No, but with even out on the street, like with you guys, you find that you're sitting amongst mostly Republicans. They're not really libertarians.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, well, once I think now that like politics is so mainstream and what like Trump did for getting everyone involved, Trump and the media for getting everyone involved in politics, that like there are the Republicans, well, ex-Republicans, like our friend Anthony, who we've had on, who was a hardcore Republican for a long time. And then towards the end of Trump's administration, when he passed that, $2 trillion bill, when he didn't really end any COVID mandates, he let the mandates run wild. He was like, that's it. Like, he's like, I can't even trust the Republican Party anymore. So I think there's a lot of Republicans out there who we're like, fuck, we got to find a new way. We can't be Democrats because they're just as fucked. And then, comes that little snake in the yellow flag and like, check out the Libertarian Party. We got a lot of the same values.
Libertarianism.
That's funny. That's
also,
funny.
I think like me and Chris, we don't give a fuck about like teams. We care about like liberty itself.
Right.
Experts in freedom.
Again, I don't care. Like if the Republicans are going to get better and they're going to be liberty oriented and minded, then great. That's awesome. That's fine. I don't need a libertarian party to win or be the king. Again, that's not what it's interested in anyway.
Yeah.
So
let me ask, what is a conservative libertarian? How does that differ from?
I still have a lot of conservative values. I'm not putting all my chips into the Libertarian Party until I see like some major changes. Because right now, like, they have the ideology of libertarianism. I love, the property rights and, Skaggs and I go back and forth on like how the rule of law in society should be governed. I'm super in favor of small government. Large government's a nightmare as far as, if nobody's figured that out yet, you're on a different path. But there's still no name or there's still nothing going on, because right now I'm very much, you have to play with the parts, the pieces that are on the board. We can't just come up with this magical utopia. We still have to deal with Washington. We still have to deal with Congress. We still have to deal with an election. So give me a libertarian candidate that is a fireball, getting media coverage, getting a following, talking about the changes they want to promote. And then I'll start saying, I'm more libertarian than I am Republican. Because right now, come down to election day, when things matter, are there a few libertarians that I would vote for? Yes, of course. I would have loved to have seen Larry Sharp go, but they screwed him over. Even in Connecticut.
Don't forget who screwed him over in Larry Sharp, the GOP, the Republican Party.
I know.
I know.
And but they're probably saying the same thing. Just like, we could have won if it wasn't for those 4,000 votes.
And I understand the GOP. That's why I say conservative libertarian, because in the same breath, the GOP is the same. What's the saying with the two wings of the same bird? Both political wings are attached to the same bird. I know the GOP is corrupt, so I can't. I can't follow them to the ends of the earth anymore, but the Libertarian Party isn't giving me anybody to follow, to put into Congress, put in the White House, that we can make this change.
Yeah.
That's always been, even when we get involved, when I'm there at these libertarian conventions, I straight up tell these people, like, what's your marketing plan? Like, why aren't you a household name yet? Like, you're still the third biggest. It still takes work to be the third largest party. You know what I'm saying? Even though like you're completely decimated in the polls, it still takes some effort to be the third largest party. Where is your name brand household hero? Where's the marketing on this? What are you doing to get more people behind you? Because you have an ideology that people are craving, but they're not. Nobody does research anymore. You know what I mean? So why are they going to look up a third party? They literally think it's only Team A and Team B.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then what you think? People think that their brains kind of are either Team A or Team B.
Yeah.
You know, the whole echo chamber. I've never seen it like this. You know, whatever we've lived through, we've already aged ourselves and outed ourselves to the public. But whatever we've lived through, I have never seen an echo chamber go on. Like, no matter what war we've been in, no matter anything, like this right now, there's because nobody's communicating. Yeah,
every war we've been through has been a physical, boots on the ground. Even if it was technological with Obama droning everybody, this no doubt is a psychological war for the soul of America, and they will use any tool, anything they can to get one up on us. And I gotta say, I mean, kudos to you. You're a fan of Doom Nation. You're a member of Doom Nation. You're a fan of this show, and you sat through several of the largest psychological operations the government has ever put out, and you were like, nah, fuck that shit. You know, you were right there with us with the middle finger up, just saying, nah, fuck off.
Seen it before.
Yeah.
So are you guys fans of history? Is that how
I've always been a big fan of history.
Yeah, that's something that's consistent. It's shocking how many Americans don't know history. You know, I guess because of the school system, or that we just don't read as much anymore. But I've noticed that people who actually follow history or have an interest in history kind of see where things are going. And those who don't are just, it's like there's no foresight at all. And
they're the ones marching us towards the cliff, those people.
The ones who don't follow history are the ones calling us Nazis. You know what I mean? You know,
the reverse,
Yeah, I'm reading right now The White Pill by Michael Malice, the book of his, and it's really interesting. It really is kind of like a history book in a sense, and it has to do a lot with like the Marxist revolution in Russia. Man, I mean, like, if you are someone who is kind of aware of what's going on today, and then you read this book, there's going to be a lot of moments while you're reading this book, you're like, Jesus Christ, that sounds familiar.
This just happened yesterday.
That sounds familiar. Yeah. There's a lot of themes from back then that are kind of reoccurring.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, are you familiar with Woodrow Wilson's presidency and
the worst president of all time?
Yeah, and how he got everybody in the war, or how he pretended to get everybody into the World War I. This is a complete remake of the World War I scenario. It's scary.
Yeah,
sending tanks to Ukraine. Yeah, no, we're not being part of the war.
No, I mean, even what's going on here, just with all the propaganda and silencing because Americans didn't want to have any involvement in World War I because we were isolationists and
everything changed with him and World War I. Right up until that point, we were a very staunch anti-war isolationist nation. He's one of the first. He's the worst president, but he also, people say nowadays, like, I like that conservatives now have realized, like, oh, the FBI and the agencies, they're terrible.
Wow.
They've always been terrible. It was Wilson who used the FBI to target the anti-war movement back then.
Sure.
Right, because he wanted America in the war for whatever
money.
People went to jail. People went to prison for speaking out against the war.
Right. They passed laws infringing on your rights, right? Because it's a danger. It's
a
danger if we don't go to the war.
For your safety. The Assange, whatever they're pretending to charge Assange with is what Woodrow Wilson, right? Did he create that?
Yeah,
espionage.
The Espionage Act, right? Yeah.
He
Edward
put people
Snowden,
in jail for that. Yeah.
Right. Anyone who challenges like that power structure and gets notoriety.
Anybody who's over the target.
Yeah, as they say.
Yeah.
Espionage. How he was able to do that overseas, if somebody from Australia charged him with espionage in America, that's a bit of magic there, but
Well, that's the Five Eyes, right? Working together.
Mhm.
You know, England, United States, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, right? Is that it?
Yeah.
The five English speaking
The boot on
countries.
the
They
map,
yeah, they have the
Oh, you forgot
agreements with each
Canada,
other.
didn't you?
Yeah, Canada, right? Yeah, they're like, you know, the worst one now. What were you gonna say before, Chris?
Didn't Professor Giordano say that Woodrow Wilson was like where it all started going downhill as well?
He might have when we had him on
We
last
had
time.
him on
Yeah.
and we were like, where do you think this all started?
Sure.
Who
If
started
you
the
know-
Fed? Who started the Fed?
It was
that
around.
would have been
It was
Woodrow.
Wilson.
So
Yeah.
so he said
Yeah.
he said Woodrow Wilson is where all this started.
It's funny because if you ask someone who's the worst president ever, they're going to be like Joe Biden,
Yeah.
right, or Donald Trump. But if
yeah.
someone
Like,
says
whoever's
Woodrow
president
Wilson,
now.
that's kind of like a marker for me now to know someone knows their shit.
Sure.
If someone
Yeah.
says Woodrow Wilson was the worst president ever, I'm like, okay, this person fucking knows a lot
I
about
was-
history and what's going on.
I was going through Twitter, and one of these idiot leftists were, who's the worst president in the history of America? And they're grifting for everybody. Donald Trump.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm reading through the comments because I'm like, I want to see what like other like ideas are. And it was flooded with Abraham Lincoln. I was like, wow, okay.
I could give you the
cultural shit.
so you know, libertarians hate Abraham Lincoln, right? I don't know. Do you
Well-
guys know why?
well, I
No.
know that they do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, libertarians hate Abraham Lincoln because he was a bit of a tyrant. There was you have freedom of association in America.
That little thing called martial law and stuff.
Right. And certain states decided and put aside whatever they believed in slavery and whatnot. Everybody agrees it's obviously horrible, but those states
Of course, yeah.
wanted to disassociate themselves,
That's-
the Union, right? And that the Emperor Lincoln decided no, and he kind of was one of the first to enact some of those things. Now, to say that nowadays is like sacrilegious,
Yeah.
how dare you, question Lincoln's, reverence amongst the American presidents. But that's like level 5 libertarian shit. That's, no, we'll stay at level 1 for now.
Yeah.
Well,
Little L
Judge,
shit.
Judge Napolitano, you familiar with him?
Yes.
He's a
Yeah.
libertarian.
Yeah.
He's not a fan of Lincoln,
Mhm.
and he has this whole thing where Lincoln could have ended slavery without a war. And I know so many people are listen to him, and then they say, "Oh yeah, he was the president. He could have ended slavery without a war. Why didn't he do that?"
Because
So-
war is profitable.
There's a couple really interesting quotes of Lincoln's too, where he never actually gave a shit about ending slavery. There's a famous quote of his, like where, he's like, if I could preserve the Union and keep slavery intact, I would. If I could preserve the Union and free the slaves, I would. If I could preserve the Union and allow the South to keep slaves and the North to not have slaves, I would. So his goal was only to preserve the empire, the Union,
Right.
not to actually free the slaves. It's just whatever it took was what he would do.
Yeah, unfortunately, what happens is you have one figure, and in that, in this case, it's Abraham Lincoln, and he becomes the face of the movement.
Right.
And then when you find flaws in that one person, then it seems like that whole movement, like there was nothing good, that all the people must have been terrible.
Right.
But that, the Republicans, they were abolitionists. That's how they started the Republican Party, and that's extremely brave. And they came out as a third party because the other ones were the monopoly, and so they were like little libertarians at the time. And they, for them to get to the forefront like that, and then to actually win, which Abraham Lincoln barely won, but still, can you imagine some libertarian candidate actually becomes president? It's really one of those David and Goliath kind of moments in history. Charles Sumner, he probably would have been a better face, even though he wasn't president, but he would have been a better face of that movement. He was a senator, and he was a strong, abolitionist. Like that was it. He was uncompromising. He said that the worst thing that America did since its founding was compromise. If you're about freedom, you're about freedom. Like there's no compromise with that. And but the Southerners, they didn't like him at all. And he got beat in the Senate, like right there on the Senate floor. They took canes and they like beat him almost to death. Yeah,
They should bring that back.
And then he wound up in the hospital, and Americans who were Southerners and pro enslavement, they were sending him canes as gifts just to like rub it in his face.
Really?
Even though
Nice.
yeah. Can you imagine that
Yeah,
happening now?
Back then when you didn't have
people were
Twitter.
savage
That's
back
trolling.
in the day.
Yeah, that was
that's
super
yeah,
serious
that's like
trolling
trolling.
them.
that's
post
now we
Twitter,
send
yeah.
memes. Back then they beat the shit out of you and then send you a cane
Yeah.
after.
Here's the
now we'll just
cane I
send
used you to whoop your ass with.
Now we'll just send you a disrespectful meme.
I know.
Yeah.
You'd think somebody would have broke up that fight. You know, I mean, somebody
they
had to
were-
have been armed or something.
They were savages back then. I mean, Chris, you remember when we went to the Capitol and they had they told us a story about the duel that happened like right in the Capitol, long time ago.
Oh,
Forgot
man, I don't know.
who. Like a
Well,
duel
that was probably
literally
common,
went down
yeah.
and like right in the Capitol once of
Wow.
one guy
And
against
they
another.
one shot the
yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they had a
I
duel.
forget
yeah.
who,
Mm.
but back then, you know, they really settled shit. They settled
Yeah.
scores like right there and there. I mean, they kind of had to, right? Because now they could call each other up or anything
yeah.
afterwards.
You
yeah,
were
like,
meeting once every so
Yeah.
often.
And-
yeah, when you saw
and-
someone, that might be the only time you see them for the next couple of years.
Yeah, and their beliefs were extreme, just kind of like they are now, because you can't, you know, one group of people wants to treat someone as an equal human being and equal citizen, and the other group doesn't. You know,
Yeah,
so
they want
you
equity.
talk about like two extremes.
Two extremes, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually no wonder it resulted in a civil war.
Yeah,
I don't think you could change a nation without being extreme, whether it's
No,
good or
it's
not.
No.
Yeah, it's hard to when people are that different or their views are that different where they literally don't see another person as a
Where we are
person.
right now.
Right. The only way you can, right, like if the government is strong and then imposes a view set on that person that they don't believe in, it's
Mhm.
going to most likely end up in violence, which
Mhm.
is why a lot of libertarians argue for the national divorce right now,
Mhm.
right? Which is like, well, I don't think we're ever going to convince a person who wants to bring their child to Drag Queen Story Hour that that's
To
not a
go
good
to war.
idea. And I don't think that, like, you know, right, exactly, could end up in violence. So the best idea would be like, okay, you go have your crazy country over there. We'll go have our normal country over here.
And you
Good
know
luck.
what? That might sound like utopia, but in all honesty, the two sides need each other. Because if they split and you have left over there and you have right over there, both is going to be tyranny. They're going
Maybe.
to still because the
Well, they could go do their
conserv-
tyranny over there. We'll have our little
Yeah.
Ancapistan over here.
No, if you think of conservative, I assume you mean the conservatives and what have you, because
Yeah, well, I don't know how it would shake out. You know, it's a messy situation.
conservatives are just as authoritarian as
Oh, yeah, they can be, sure.
leftists,
Yeah, they're just
in the
they
other
just-
direction.
Yeah,
they do it
direction,
on a slower
right.
timeline.
Yeah, I think
No,
that's where
no, it's just-
libertarians come in to try and give them better ideas or push them away from that.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. They want to impose their morality on everybody.
I do think if there was this divorce of the nation, though, like I think we all know which side would get pretty tyrannical, like day one, day two, like, you know, you eat the bugs, you live in
will
the
eat the
pod,
bugs,
you
yeah.
own nothing.
I mean,
watch the porn.
Ideally,
you recite the pledge, you
Yeah.
stand up, you do as I say, you know,
Yeah,
which
that's all there.
I
I'd
proudly
rather
recite
say the Pledge of
but-
Allegiance than live in a pod eating
Well,
bugs.
but nobody should, but the coercion, you know, force
Yeah.
is the problem.
I agree.
Mhm.
I agree. Now that I'm a little bit older and have, like, you know, been deeply read into a lot of libertarian ideology and stuff like that. Like, yeah, the say the Pledge of Allegiance is a major red flag to me. Like, you're pledging your allegiance to a nation that rules over you. It is a form of indoctrination over your heart.
Yeah.
You know, it's again, it's sacrilegious to some people to say such a thing, especially nowadays where they're like saying the Pledge of Allegiance to like a BLM flag or or whatever. You know what I'm saying? People are trying to counter that sort of stuff, but
Yeah,
I'm aware of the idea of indoctrination. It's scary to a sense.
that, and it's compelled speech,
Yeah.
which is unconstitutional.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
That's not me saying that. That's the Supreme Court.
Interesting.
Ruled
Canada's
that
got a big
way.
problem with that right now.
Compelled speech.
Yeah, compelled speech stuff. Yeah.
See, if you allow it in that way,
Mhm.
it's only a matter of time before it's going to
Right.
start
It
that
evolves
way. You know?
and worse. Yeah. Right. See,
It's
that's exactly. This is
bottom
where we're
line.
libertarians. This is where we belong. To warn the conservatives about the Patriot Act, right? Like,
Mm.
whose idea was that? You know? And
Patriot
look at how
Act
it's
was
being
just
used now.
perfect timing.
Right.
You
So
know,
I'm just
after
saying, like,
9/11, you know.
that's our job, Rose, to warn these idiots or to push them to be better. You know, with Trump coming back,
It's
it's interesting. You know, I don't know. Like, there's the
And
whole
then
Trump
that's-
DeSantis thing, and now you can't criticize Trump, the MAGA people. It's like, oh no.
Right.
No, I
He's
want
never
to
not
criticize him
gonna
because
have him.
I know, but I want him to be better. That's
Yeah.
why I criticize him, you know?
He
I
was
agree.
he's plenty authoritarian himself. It's just that his followers loved it. You know, the things that he was authoritarian about was things that they wanted. But
Right.
if it was things that they didn't want, they'd be able to
We
see
never
all
got
that.
anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. We got a couple actual topics too that we'll get into
Right.
tonight.
Yeah.
And Cap, which one do you want to go with first here? We haven't gotten into the Paul Pelosi situation yet. The video was released,
Yeah.
so we can watch it. I know, Chris, you haven't watched it.
No,
Rose, have you watched
yeah.
that at all yet? The Paul Pelosi video? Rose?
Rose, I have, yeah.
You have, okay. So
Okay,
I
cool.
watched it too. So we got that. Pfizer actually responded to the Project Veritas video, which we covered on the last episode. And then there was a story out of England about the 77th Army Regiment and Maajid Nawaz, who kind of brought this up about a year ago. So those are three things I kind of want to talk about. Kat, which one do you want
Let's
to
do Phizer since that was in our most recent episode. That was with Pink Jesus, right?
That was with old Pink Jesus. Yeah.
Great nickname, man.
So again, like if you watched the last episode or if you saw it, Project Veritas had one of their Tinder dates with someone who worked at Phizer, and it went off the rails, and he kind of admitted that they're doing some sort of shady research at Phizer. The reaction.
I wonder after they lose their job if Project Veritas actually hires them.
Oh yeah, right. Like if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
exactly.
Yeah,
bad idea.
It's like I got fired because of you. Like, well, okay.
Yeah, really blow the lid on the whole thing. So I mean, I just want, before I read this, it's not that long, but before I read this, I just want to preface it by the reaction was what I found the most interesting on last Friday. And we showed, remember, Cap, we showed how people were saying, no, this is all fake. This is all fake shit. It's not real.
He's saying it to impress his date.
Right. He's saying it to impress his date or whatever. So, I mean, so let's start there. If it was fake, why is Phizer now coming out to defend themselves about what they're doing? Because it's not fake. Obviously, it's fucking real. And the NPC bots will just say anything that challenges their worldview. So January 27, 2023. This actually came out the moment we started recording.
Wait, you're just sharing your computer background right now.
Okay, so this screen share thing is still giving me a hard time here. Okay, let's go.
I thought you knew that.
Now I didn't. How about now?
Let's see. There we go. Yeah, the Phizer.
All right.
New York, January 27th.
So this is from Phizer. Allegations have recently been made related to gain of function and directed evolution research at Phizer, and the company would like to set the record straight. It
says, looking at you, Rand Paul.
Yeah.
They had to leave that part.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get into that. Trust me. In the ongoing development of the Pfizer biotech vaccine, Phizer has not conducted gain of function or directed evolution research. Working with collaborators, we have conducted research where the original COVID virus has been used to express the spike protein from new variants of concern. This work is undertaken once a new variant of concern has been identified by public health authorities. This research provides a way for us to rapidly assess the ability of an existing vaccine to induce antibodies that neutralize a newly identified variant of concern. We then make this data available through peer-reviewed scientific journal and use it as one of the steps to determine whether a vaccine update is required. Feel free to jump in anytime you guys want.
Shocking that every time it requires a vaccine update.
Always. In addition to meet U.S. and global regulatory requirements for our oral treatment, Vaxloid, Phizer undertakes it in vitro work. Example, in a laboratory culture dish, to identify potential resistance mutations to one of the Vaxloid's two components. With a naturally evolving virus, it is important to routinely assess the activity of an antiviral. Most of this work is conducted using computer simulations of mutations of the main protease, a non-infectious part of the virus. In a limited number of cases, when a full virus does not contain any known gain of function mutations, such virus may be engineered to enable the assessment of antiviral activity in the cells. I'm going to stop right here because they just admitted that they are doing evolutionary, right? They're right there. This is exactly, just get it right into it. This is exactly what Fauci did when he was up in front of Congress, right? Where Rand Paul was like, hey, you're doing gain of function. And changed
the website.
Yeah, right, exactly.
They changed the definition. And don't they cite the definition in this as well?
They cite gain of function and whatnot. They're basically saying we're not doing gain of function. We're not doing directed evolution. They said in a limited number of cases when a full virus does not contain any known gain of function mutations, such viruses may be engineered to enable the assessment of antiviral activity in cells. So they're not doing gain of function. They're not doing.
They're just engineering
directed evolution. They're engineering to enable the assessment of antiviral activity in cells. That's the defense here, essentially. Yeah. From Pfizer.
We didn't do that because this is not word soup. Word gymnastics. What did you used to call
mental
it?
Gymnastics.
Mental
word
gymnastics.
Play, whatever.
Yeah. Because everybody knows the term gain of function now.
Right.
And then you go run. So now you go run over and you look up the definition of gain of function, but they changed the definition so it doesn't fit what they're doing. Then this new word came in of directed evolution. I don't remember hearing that
ever
prior to, so now there's rules that, that Pfizer abides by for directed evolution, but they're still admitting to enhancing and engineering the cells of the virus. So what exactly is that?
When was the last time you read 1984? And, there was
that.
What
right
was it? The Minister of Propaganda.
Ministry of Propaganda, Ministry of Truth.
They'll
tell you to.
No, the one that was the PR, the one that would come out and twist the story.
I have it here, but I haven't read it since I was a kid.
Yeah, I only remember Napoleon. Oh, Napoleon and Snowball, and then one of them had somebody who would explain things to the layman and say, no, you didn't see that. What you saw was, and it was just saying it in different words.
Yeah, they tell you
that's
what
exactly
you saw.
what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought, man, going back kind of where we began talking about the past couple of years, we've mentioned this so many times on the show. There's just this one moment that sticks out to me in the history of the past 3 years, and it's Jen Psaki, and she's on the White House press secretary stage, and someone asked her about hey, don't you think it's good to encourage people to work out and eat healthy? And her mouth was moving, but she just couldn't make the words to say yes, that's a good idea. All she could say was, no, you should get vaccinated. There's a no cost there, right? There's a no cost to encouraging people, hey, eat healthy, work out, it's better for you, and get the vaccine. If I'm going to be generous, she could have said that, but she didn't, right? So I'll never forget that. That reminded me of 84, right? That's exactly what she was doing. That's exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
So let's be fair here to Pfizer. We'll read the rest. Where was I? Yeah. Okay. So in addition, in vitro resistance selection experiments are undertaken in cells incubated with SARS-CoV-19 and in our secure biosafety level 3 laboratory to assess whether the main protease can mutate to yield resistant strains of the virus. It is important to note that these studies are required by U.S. and global regulators for all antiviral products and are carried out by many companies and academic institutions in the U.S. and around the world. Fact-based information rooted in sound science is vitally important to overcoming COVID-19 pandemic, and Pfizer remains committed to transparency and helping alleviate the devastating burden of this disease. Well, if I will give them any credit,
devastating burden
whatsoever, Chris, it is that they did use some science words here, at least for once, right? We have criticized a lot of the people who come out here and defend the COVID regime, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, because they just use appeals to authority. That's always their argument, right?
Yeah.
Appeals to authority. At least Pfizer used big words that I can't even pronounce here. But I could at least see right through it. I don't know if you guys got any final thoughts on this one.
What's funny is that Pfizer could come right out and say, yeah, I did it, and nothing would change.
Yeah. For the real Branch Covidians who are on still, 2 weeks to flatten the curve and wear your masks, it doesn't matter what Pfizer says, they wouldn't believe it. But once Project Veritas aired that conversation and there was an eruption on Twitter, Pfizer needs to address this, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's what that was. Yeah.
what did you think Phizer was going to do? Yeah, guys, you got us. The director of research ratted us out. We're sorry. Of course they're going to deny it. Anybody, like, it's the easiest thing to bet on in the world right now. If you take any, like, the media, anybody in Congress, anybody in the pharmaceutical industry, anything around COVID, Ukraine, the it now Psy-op topic that you got to change your Facebook profile picture to, take anybody in that, show them doing something bad, and I promise you they will double down as their next move.
Because they have nothing.
But the thing is, when companies are going to do stupid stuff, they're going to do shady things, that's common. And then when they get caught, they'll deny it. That's not the scary part. The scary part is they can come right out and say, this is what we did, this is why we did it, and this is what we're going to continue to do. And we're at a point where nobody's going to do anything to change it.
On top of it, Phizer paid the what?
The most fines.
The largest fine ever in the pharmaceutical industry. And like, there's still like top dog. Like nothing happened to them. It must be real interesting sitting on.
They never were a trustworthy corporation.
Right.
Now, like the people who used to criticize them the most, the left, are now getting Phizer tattoos. I mean, if that's not evidence of a psyop, I don't know what is.
It's a cult.
Yes, yep. I actually do want to mention this because this brand really earned my respect during the whole COVID thing. If you remember, of course, you'd have to remember it for the rest of your life. You got to remember how everyone was there was one narrative during the COVID lockdowns, and Fauci was king. Nobody could dare say anything bad about Fauci. He was the science.
He was the science.
That's why. Go finish your statement, then I'll bring it up.
And everybody was, even people who were like on the fence, they were scared to say anything against Fauci because they'd be canceled or whatever. But the one group that did not change at all, they were anti-Fauci from day one, and they still are now, and they were the whole time, and that's PETA.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, PETA knew that Fauci was up to no good.
PETA and the two do men.
That's true.
And vegans were on our side throughout this whole thing. When I went to a protest in Manhattan, in New York City, there were a lot of vegans there protesting the vaccine mandate.
Yeah, and so I mean, that really, it must have been hard for them. They probably lost sponsorship, lost probably a lot of followers, a lot of anything, but they didn't give up on those little guys that Fauci was willing to torture.
All right.
For money. So.
Well, I was going to bring up with the whole Fauci thing, like he's a great example of how you couldn't question the narrative, because even after he retired, Damar Hamlin goes down. Few people on Twitter say, "Oh, it's because of the vaccine." And the very next day, Fauci's out there. No, I'm the science. Trust me. This had nothing to do with the vaccine. Oh, so you mean it had everything to do with the vaccine? Got it. Noted.
Yes. Simple enough. Worth noting, he controlled the funding for a lot of research and things like that. So it's not just that he comes out here and is the talking head, the propaganda guy. It's like his pen holds weight, right? Because what he signs off on gets funding. With this whole thing, again, I just want to go ahead.
As always, Elon, I know you are listening. I know you're a big member of Two Doom Men.
I'm sure. Retweet us.
We are still waiting for the Fauci files. I think what we should do is go over the past couple of episodes and just cut me saying Elon, we're waiting, and then we'll put it in a little compilation and tweet it at him.
We'll have one of those little things. It's like how many days since the Fauci files hasn't come out or something like that.
I still have my guard up with Elon.
Oh yeah.
Of course. I think we all should. I would never trust Neuralink. I always try and tell people who are semi involved, not really as entrenched as we are, I get it. Fox is saying the things you want to hear, but Fox is not trustworthy. I get it. Elon is doing the opposite of what, the old regime was doing at Twitter, but that doesn't mean he's
your God. Right?
Who keeps all these emails on file? When I get emails at work, I delete them. If we're not supposed to delete them,
but your company, I'm sure,
it's
has
never
a huge.
Nothing's ever
it's somewhere in there. Okay.
Yeah, nothing's ever fully deleted. I'm sure there's
and especially
that's good to know.
$1 billion company like Twitter. That's I mean, especially all the work with the government.
I also think there was just a little hubris, right? They didn't think this shit was going to happen. They didn't
Yeah.
think that like all of a sudden everything is going to get published and found out. You know, do you think like I don't think Yoel Roth was like deleting his like covering his tracks.
Oh yeah,
he
burning
went.
hard drives like
He
Hillary.
thought he was
Yeah.
king, you know, like he thought he was
Slapping him with a
untouchable.
hammer.
He had the FBI and shit on his
Yeah.
side. What the fuck, you know, he thought he was gold. So
Yeah.
I think there's a little hubris that comes in with that.
Mm.
Again, like just, you know, for YouTube, right? Like the reason why we want to criticize Phizer for this is because this shit is dangerous, right? This is probably, you know, this could be how the pandemic began, through fucking fuckery in a lab. Now they're still doing said fuckery, it seems. Just don't do that, right? I don't.
Very simple.
If you want to predict, also, I think it's comical to like we want to predict like future variants. Like that's infinite possibilities. A virus, a bacteria. There are literally there's got to be, I would assume, an infinite number of possibilities of ways that a virus can evolve, that life can evolve, or whatever. So you can't predict everything. So just whatever, just don't create it yourself. Let's start there. That's probably the best action you can take.
As a human being who has morals, you are correct. But as a giant trillion-dollar organization, they have no moral standards. They have no their form of ethics. There's none there. So you're saying there's an infinite ways this virus can mutate. In their heads, that's in infinite ways they can make an infinite amount of money.
Products to sell.
And even though, so let's just say you are on the right path and you are ethically, like, we need to figure out how this can mutate so we could have a vaccine ready for it. But it's only going to be like once or twice removed from that ethical scientist, we'll say, who is actually trying to save the world by doing this research. It's only going to be once removed, twice removed before the money man shows up and is like, we're going to sell that vaccine before it even drops. It's going to be like a record album, like COVID 22 is dropping tomorrow, so we're going to drop the new vaccine today.
Yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, as they say, right? So it's interesting. So let's move on to the next topic. I'm excited to see you watch this, Chris.
Yes, I specifically didn't watch this because I wanted to get like an actual genuine reaction out of me.
Did you have any opinion before you watched?
It's his gay lover.
Okay.
It's his gay lover.
I just thought it was funny. You know, I guess people are gonna say that's fucked up. I didn't know what to believe. I try not to go that far down the rabbit hole.
If he was 40, I would have thought it was funny. If he was a 40-year-old guy, I would have.
Yeah. So I mean, the Pelosi's are corrupt people. Forget what she did in Congress for all these years. We have them pretty much caught red-handed, allegedly caught red-handed with insider trading. There's some dirty dealings behind the scene. And don't forget, Paul is like the Donald Trump of California. He's a real estate mogul of California. He's got some dirty backroom deals. They're not good people.
They're not good people. Yeah, let's start off there. So, all right. So this is body camera footage from San Francisco Police Department that came out about this altercation with Paul Pelosi. So I'm gonna skip ahead here real quick where the cops are walking up.
Definitely don't want all of here. I definitely don't want all of here.
I'm so surprised that like their house is just on the street.
Yeah, like you could just walk right up to it.
Yeah, they have no front yard, nothing.
One of many houses.
True.
San Francisco is still probably like $4 million.
Oh yeah, but I was just so surprised. Like, there's the road right there. If I was the speaker of the house,
in walls.
If I was the speaker of the house, I'd be living on the side of a mountain.
How you doing?
All right, hang on a second. Because we're kind of not paying attention here. So this is where things get interesting and the door opens.
Hi. How you doing?
Oh yeah.
What's going on, man?
Everything's good.
Hi. Drop the hammer.
Nope. Hey.
What is going on right now?
I'm not getting an answer on call back.
Bro, oh shit.
From the area due to anemia.
I got him,
Plumber crack going on.
Yep.
Got the dad New Balances on.
Yep.
Network 14, Network 10, backup code 3.
Man, hanging out with the speaker's husband, you think he'd show up a little bit, get some Gucci slides.
Give me your fucking hand.
All right, so that's basically it. cops arrest him.
See, I thought there was going to be more to the story here.
There is more, which I'll play a little bit more into context. There was more. There was another video. I won't play this one, but of him breaking in with the hammer in the kind of like in the backyard. That's also on camera. I think this is the most interesting part here. You got to really look closely and see if you notice anything.
Hi. How you doing?
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, man?
Everything's good.
I'll play it again.
Paul's smiling. Everything's good.
Hi. How you doing?
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, man?
Everything's good.
Hi. Drop the hammer.
Nope. Hey.
What is going on?
So I don't know. Did you guys notice that as soon as the door opens, the only other suspicious thing left here?
What are we like? He's drinking.
The drink is suspicious, but the only thing left, in my opinion, that is suspicious here is who opens the door. There's a third person in the house with them that opens the door. Neither of them open the door. Their hands are all tied. Paul's holding a drink.
Wait. You hear that beep? Is that the alarm? Like,
could be. Sounds
or
like.
is it like an automatic door? I mean, Pelosi's old and drunk, so she might not be able to get through the door.
There's a third person in the house, without a doubt. There's even it was even in, I believe, the initial report that got retracted by someone in the that was there, that there's a third person. Now, again, I don't know. I wasn't there, but is this an automatic door? It doesn't look like an automatic door. Those look like just normal door hinges. Wow. There appears to be a third person in the house that opens the door, who's been just kind of omitted from the whole story here. Now, I do think that a lot of people went down the crazy rabbit hole here and said that this didn't happen or whatever. No, I mean, it did. We all just saw it right here, right?
Yeah.
Got hit in the head with the hammer.
Can you actually see contact? No, right? He's out of the way. Which, not that I would want to see contact.
Yeah, I mean,
he's cocking back. He's getting ready.
It's also body camera footage, so it's not the most highest quality. Yeah. I mean,
if it's some kind of...
You do see he's pretty banged up here. After. I mean, I think it is what it is, honestly. That's
interesting, though, because unless it is an automatic door, Paul had his one hand on the hammer and his other hand on his drink. And if somebody's in your house with a hammer, and Skaggs, we have had many drinks. Okay,
we're experts in hammers and drinks.
Are we
getting hammered? Sure.
Are we gonna hold on to our drinks still? Like what are you, Julian from Trailer Park Boys?
Yeah, that's dude. I thought about that. Rose, do you watch Trailer Park Boys?
I do know that there's that one guy that always had his drink in his hand.
That's so funny, Chris, because that was the first thing I thought of was Julian.
The world
I was like,
is about to end for you.
And the Pelosi's, they're known for drinking.
Yeah,
let's call a spade, right? So I will hand it to Paul. Like, he ain't dropping his drink. I kind of am impressed by that whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, going back to that, you say that you think that they were involved. You just mentioned that he's a real estate mogul.
Mm-hmm.
And you did get a look at that guy. I don't think they're involved. Not from
who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, the guy,
he's not the best looking dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's
I mean, it's not. He's a bit I think
Nancy
he lives in a compound somewhere down the street or something like that. I mean,
right.
Usually real estate moguls don't go for compound people.
There is
if Nancy was my wife, I'd make some risky decisions as well.
So there is they put out the 911 phone call. I think this also provides a little bit more context for you, Cap.
Please, 74.
2022.
Oh, I guess I called by mistake. What is this?
This is San Francisco Police. Do you need help?
Oh, well, there's a gentleman here just waiting for my wife to come back. Nancy Pelosi.
223
he's just waiting for her to come back, but she's not going to be here for a day, so I guess we'll have to wait.
Okay, do you need police, fire, or medical for anything?
8 seconds.
I don't think so.
So what's the point of calling?
23 and 58 seconds.
There's is the Capitol Police around?
220.
No, this is San
Francisco. They usually protect my wife. They're usually here at the house protecting my wife.
No, this is San Francisco Police.
Friday, October.
I understand.
2022.
Okay, well,
0224
I don't know, what do you
and
think?
18 seconds.
think everything's good.
Who's he talking to?
The guy.
That's the fur thing.
He thinks everything's good. I've got a problem, but he thinks everything's good.
Okay. Call us back if you change your mind.
No. This gentleman just came into the house, and he wants to wait here for my wife to come home. And so, anyway, he told me to put the phone down.
Do you know who the person is?
No, I don't know who he is. He has this. He's telling me not to. He's telling me not to do anything.
What is your address, sir?
26.
225 and 0.
What is your name?
Seconds.
My name is Paul Pelosi.
Friday.
Anyway, this gentleman says that he thinks everything ought to, he's telling me to put the phone down and just do what he says.
18 seconds.
Okay?
Okay, what's the gentleman's name?
I don't know. What's that? My name's David. The name is David.
This is just so weird.
This is the most
Okay, and
bizarre
who is
thing.
David?
I don't know.
Okay, hold on, pause this. I can't take this anymore. Okay. None of this is making sense to me. So somebody's in your house with a hammer. I don't know if he came in with the hammer or not. You don't put your drink down. There is a strange man in your house, and your wife is the third most important person in America. When we met Nancy Pelosi at the concert.
Well, but that doesn't support your narrative, actually.
What?
When we met Nancy Pelosi.
No.
Us two idiots ran into Nancy.
Let me finish my statement. We ran into her, but the second I screamed out, "Hey, Nancy," 2 security guards turned around and were on both sides of me. You know what I mean? Like, they were ready for anything to take place. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I would have thrown something at her or whatever, there would have been hands on me instantly. It just so happened we were lucky enough to be in the same vicinity as her. But like, your wife's the third most powerful person in the world. A man that you never, quote unquote, never met in your life is in your house and is telling you to put the phone down and don't call the cops. You don't put your drinks down. There's no urgency in his voice. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are you not threatened?
What do you think?
Why are you not scared?
My opinion, I do think he was threatened, and I do think he was scared, and I think he was able to sweet talk him and rationalize, I'm just going to use the phone. I'm just going to call. And then instead of saying, there's somebody in my house, he's going to kill me, which that man would have killed him instantly. He says, so I'm here, my wife is Nancy Pelosi, and this guy, he's standing here, and he's just saying everything's
Capitol
okay.
Police.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Rose. I like the vibe I'm getting through the phone calls. He's trying to like very cleverly say what's going on without saying it to kind of draw any like anger from the person who's in his house.
Right.
He's trying to call for help,
will
right, without outright saying it. That's kind of the vibe I got from the phone call, which provides more context to the whole interaction.
Did you guys ever see that commercial where some woman is on the phone and she's ordering a pizza? And then at the end of the commercial, you realize she wasn't really ordering a pizza. She was calling the police. I think it was during the Super Bowl. That's why.
Okay. No, but it sounds familiar. I get the concept.
It's very ridiculous.
Well, I do know, like, there was, I don't know if it's a certain police department or something, but like, if you were to tell them like, oh yes, I'd like to order a large pizza to 123 ABC Street, they'll send like the SWAT team over. Yeah, I'm exaggerating, but yeah.
But when I said it was ridiculous, it's kind of ridiculous that they put it on the Super Bowl, which if you think of who is the audience who watches the Super Bowl,
men.
But back in university days and college days, when they used to separate the ladies and put them in the gym or whatever, and then give them like a whole bunch of advice. One of the advice that I've been drinking. One of the
that's all right. That's
a piece of advice,
on this show.
Yeah.
A piece of advice that they would give, they would say, if you're ever in a situation where you can't call and say, I'm here, come, this person's gonna kill me. What you say is, I would like to order a pizza, and give your address immediately. and so that the operator already has your address at the very least, and
Mm.
then that'll increase the chances that somebody will show up. So
Yeah,
that's one of those
agree.
things. Very calmly say, hello, I'm at blah 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 blah, and I'd like to order a pizza, and the operator is saying you have the wrong number. But you're like, no, but I would like that pizza now, and I want, and then
Get it
after a
over
minute, after a
Right,
minute or
they-
so, the operator
and they're
catches
trained.
on.
Yeah, they're also trained to kind of like get that vibe or read the thing. I mean, my opinion
Yeah.
is that's basically what happened here.
Yeah.
I think there are a couple things that are still a little bit suspicious, like who else was the third person there.
Yeah.
I do think there was a third person there. I think it's suspicious just the way I thought January 6th was suspicious. It's like, how the fuck was that possible security wise? I agree. Like, there's no security at Nancy Pelosi's house by Paul's home. How was, the same way I thought, like, how the fuck did the Capitol building of the most powerful country in the world so
Just have its doors unlocked?
get people get in with, there's just no defense whatsoever. So
Yeah.
those things are suspicious, but I do honestly think we watched it. It's right there. You saw what happened. I mean, could this been acted out or something? Yeah. But
Well, I mean, it used to be.
what's the purpose, really?
It used to be common for presidents to drive down the street with the hood down.
Oh, the convertible,
And,
yeah.
and then after
JFK.
after that,
Sure.
that doesn't happen anymore. So maybe
It could just be
it's-
incompetence, right? Like it could be
It might be-
incompetence by the Pelosi's that they just left themselves undefended at their home on a Friday night or whatever the fuck.
Maybe, maybe all the resources are for Biden and Kamala. Maybe, maybe we're really, I agree with you still on January 6th that like you could just throw a rock and break the window at the Capitol and they didn't spend our hard-earned tax money on, some
proof windows, right?
Plexiglass
Or
or some
yeah.
shit. Shatterproof plexiglass that's in like schools and shit.
Yeah.
But maybe we're just wrong. And no, the Speaker of the House, his house is not that secure.
Yeah.
Right?
Ironic.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Because 10 years ago, who was the Speaker of the House 10 years ago?
Was
We
it
don't
her?
know.
Yeah.
No, we
Probably.
don't
It might have
know.
been her at one
That's
point.
It might have
the
been her.
That's not something that most Americans knew.
Yeah.
So I mean,
True.
so
Could be.
yeah, it might be like I said with the convertible thing. It's not one of those
Yeah.
things you even think about.
And she
until it
wasn't there
happens.
either, right?
Right. I mean, you said
So
he wasn't
she
going to be
wasn't
there,
there,
for
right?
days.
So I guess maybe if she was there, maybe the
I would
Capitol Police would
yeah.
be there, like on site.
I
Maybe
would
because
still
she's
think
not
there's
there.
some type of bat phone in there, man.
I would think so too, right? Yeah,
know?
right. But you never know. It could be just straight up incompetence. So I don't know. It's interesting. I think just a little
A
some
bat
more
phone-
questions posed by everything than perhaps answered. But I do think it is what it is essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bat phone that only Nancy has access to, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. So I got one more topic, and I thought this was one of the most interesting ones of the year, of last year. It's almost a year to date. That's one of the most interesting podcasts I ever watched was Maajid Nawaz. He went on the Joe Rogan Experience, hawking the crazy shit about psyops, the British military, and everything. This is kind of what put me on to. I mean, I already knew what a psyop is and all that stuff, but this really put me on to like the reality of what was going on. And I'm going to play his clip from a year ago after this, but this is from the dailymail.com. The Army spied on lockdown critics, skeptics, including our own Peter Hitchens, long suspected they were under surveillance. Now we've obtained official records that prove they were right all along.
Conspiracy theorists proven right once again.
So we're like 981 and 1 after we just took a loss on the Paul Pelosi.
On Paul Pelosi,
yeah. We're still we got a pretty high winning percentage. So military operatives are part of an operation that targeted politicians and high profile journalists who raised doubts about the official pandemic and response. It's worth noting that, Rose, we were talking about this before. This is in Great Britain. This is not in America. So it's a little bit different, but similar. A shadowy army unit secretly spied on British citizens who criticized the government's COVID lockdown policies, the Mail on Sunday can reveal. Military operatives in the UK's Information Warfare Brigade were part of a sinister operation that targeted politicians and high-profile journalists who raised doubts about the official pandemic response. They compiled dossiers on public figures such as ex-minister David Davis, who questioned the modeling behind alarming death toll predictions, as well as journalists such as Peter Hitchens and Toby Young. Dissenting views were then reported back to Number 10. Documents obtained by the civil liberties group Big Brother Watch and shared exclusively with this newspaper exposed the work of government cells such as the Counter Disinformation Unit based in the Department.
Hold on pause for a second. Counter Disinformation Unit. Didn't we just put the kibosh on a very similar unit here in America?
Yeah.
You think you did?
Yeah, well, yes, very true. We have to go by what the headlines say, but that's very interesting.
Yep.
That's very interesting that
all
Britain
all these things, right? It's not just us who are going through this. Yeah,
but probably in Britain it might be actually like legal or
right.
And scroll back up a quick bit to the very first sentence. A shadowy army unit shadowy army unit secretly spied. Very much the same wording as the very first Twitter drop of how there was a secret sub base of Twitter working with the FBI for fighting disinformation.
It's all shady.
Yeah.
All right. So based on the Department of Digital Culture, Media, and Sport, the Rapid Response Unit in the Cabinet Office. But the most secretive is the MOD's 77th Brigade, which deploys non-lethal engagement and legitimate non-military levers as a means to adapt behaviors of adversaries.
According to its people as adversaries. Let's make that clear.
According to that's a good point. According to a whistleblower who worked for the brigade during the lockdowns, the unit strayed far beyond its remit of targeting foreign powers. They said that British citizens' social media accounts were scrutinized, a sinister activity that the Ministry of Defense in public repeatedly denied of doing. Papers show the outfits were tasked with countering disinformation and harmful narratives from purported experts, with civil servants and artificial intelligence deployed to scrape social media for keywords such as ventilators that would have been of interest. The information was then used to orchestrate government responses to criticisms of policies such as the stay-at-home order, when police were given the power to issue fines and break up gatherings. It also allowed ministers to push social media platforms to remove posts and promote government-approved lines. Again, what did we just read? A special military unit was spying on everyone, was engaging in espionage, and then advising the government on how to proceed, basically in oppressing the populace in England.
Further oppressing.
Yeah.
This is interesting. I would like to see what Twitter files there are between like UK government officials and like Twitter and shit. Because clearly, because now we could add to it. I've been saying from the start, it's not just Twitter, it's Facebook, it's YouTube, it's Google, it's everybody. But now we could also, it's not just America, it's Canada, it's Europe, it's Britain, it's
Five Eyes.
Years ago, there was a certain president who said, if we lose freedom here, that's it.
Stop, baby.
That was Reagan, I think.
The last something on earth.
It's funny. It was Reagan who also took away a lot of freedoms himself as well.
Oh, absolutely, he did. You see, that's what you got to be careful. The ones who say things like that are the ones who do the worst to you get it.
So I'm not going to read the rest of this.
They're guilty themselves.
Yeah, it's true. It's interesting too, because back, with Reagan, I know you like history, he said a lot of really good things.
That's
Ronald Reagan and Ron Paul in his younger days was all about it. Ron Paul had told Ronald Reagan, like, if this is what you're, Ron Paul, fucking guy's a crazy libertarian, right?
Sure.
If this is what you're all about, I will support you. I will do everything I possibly can to help you at the time. And as soon as Ron Paul really found out what Ronald Reagan was like, he didn't endorse him anymore. He went away from him, obviously, because he figured out it was a scam. Yeah. So real quick, I knew about this, the 77th, for an entire year because of Maajid Nawaz. So I want to replay.
Let me finish my point.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the last stand on earth. And these last few years since COVID, that really, hit me hard, because where are we going to go? Canada,
there is nowhere else.
There's nowhere to go. We
just had on somebody last week. He grew up until 2018 in New Zealand, and over there, people are living like hermits, depressed, not going out, not doing anything, afraid of their lives, afraid of their government. I was watching something on BBC, and they were talking about there was an advisory for pollution. Don't drive your cars. We're advising you. And so the host asked the crowd, they were like, we're not from here, but like if they like ordered you not to drive your cars, what would you do? And unanimously, the German audience was like, we take the bus or the train. Like they would just comply. Like, and I think it's important for people to understand, like, once we fall, that's it. There's nothing.
I agree.
You know, if Hillary had gotten into fucking office, we would have already fallen.
I think it's important that we cherish that as our culture here in America.
And what you just said, that's what you're hearing American people say, the generation after us. My nieces say the same thing. They say that
they would just comply.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
so
it's up to our generation to raise better children.
Yeah,
put it that way, right? It's never over. I have the white pill look on it, right? It's up to us to protect that. We got to be the shining beacon on the hill for the rest of the world, right? Like, yeah, this is the last place to go, and it's going to continue to be the last fucking place in the world, at least, right? And if you want to have a better place, then you might want to model it after our place. So, again, I just want to give credit here where credit is due to Maajid Nawaz. He also did retweet me when I pointed this out. So, this was him on the Joe Rogan Experience last year talking about this, and he'll kind of explain it way better than I can, or even the article can.
To include military grade, yeah. So this so far establishes that because intent's not real. But it gets better attention, that they were manipulated in a way that the people that did it, why do they use the word?
Oh, what's going on? It's lagging.
Yeah.
Why were people scared?
He's double talking.
Yeah? You know, relevant for me at this point, right?
I'm glad you say that. I thought it was that.
No.
Yeah, there's a lag on his voice, and it's like becoming an overlay.
Yeah.
Oh,
now he used to be part of. Was he part of ISIS or something like that?
Oh, he's the extremist that no longer is an extremist.
To know what's going on at this type of shit. Then
he made a 180 at some point.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not working here, so I guess we won't be able to play it. But yeah, he's an interesting
Doom
cat.
Nation.
He was a former, I think, member of like the Muslim Brotherhood or something like that, and he was a legit extremist.
He was kidnapped and turned into an extremist, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I know this guy's story now. You made me listen to a podcast with maybe that exact podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
So no one understands history or the other side of things better than this guy, right?
Yeah.
Now he's completely reformed. He's complete, believes in freedom, liberty, etc. He was on top of this, man, the 77th Brigade, and how they were using psyops against the people to, like condition their behavior during the COVID regime and spying on people and that stuff.
Yeah, it's the same operations over and over again. It's just different branding. Now it's COVID. Before it was terrorism. Before it's spreading democracy, and you know, it's all the same game play.
It is right now. It's protecting.
We know the playbook.
And before that, it was the communists. Remember, like Senator McCarthy chasing after the communists, and it's just the same thing over and over again. They just change the brand.
Paranoia and fear are powerful motivators to get people to like.
And what they're doing is they're eliminating dissent and eliminating political opposition.
Yeah, 100%. So sorry that didn't work. It's interesting. Go check him out, Maajid Nawaz. It's also on my Twitter
he's great.
at Skags89. So I think we covered everything we wanted.
Yes, sir.
Now we can wrap it up here. Rose, I really appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate you being a fan of the show and all of our interesting
conversations. Thank you so much.
Political stuff. You're awesome.
Awesome.
Want to shout out your Instagram page?
Work.
Yeah.
Well, if you're looking for great skincare, then you can come to me.
As most of Doom Nation probably does.
I am.
I know. It's like, what's the point?
As I am.
But my latest product has some of the good stuff in it.
All right. Oh, we're big fans
maybe
of that.
so maybe your libertarian fans would like that. It has the real stuff, not the fake hemp stuff. Some really good CBD. Yeah, some really good CBD moisturizer that
it makes your face go numb.
It is a game changer.
All right.
It will.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being a fan. Thank you for being interactive with us. Spread the word, please. You're somebody who likes, share, and subscribe. Somebody finally listened. Yeah.
Someone did it. Someone liked, share, and subscribe.
Yeah. All you gotta do is like, share, and subscribe, and you come on the show.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Doom Nation. That's been another installment of the Two Doom Men podcast. Thank you guys so much. As always, like, share, and subscribe. Adios, Doom Nation.